Everyone, it is 9 o'clock on April 26, 2022. We'll call the Wright County Board of Commissioners meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, it's nice to see a big group here this morning. The first order of business is the minutes. Anyone have any corrections or anything?
Yeah, Madam Chair,
Yes.
under the public hearing for county commissioners districts, third paragraph, Otsego City Council member Tina Gold. She was here as not as a council member, but as a resident.
Okay.
So maybe it just needs to be resident of Otsego, and then maybe also on the Otsego City Council, but she wasn't here as an official capacity.
Madam Chair. And follow up to that, I was going to bring that up also, but it says Albertville Mayor Jillian Hendrickson. From what I recall, she said that she was a member of the city board. And what is that? There's a lot of boards, there's a lot of councils, there's a lot of committees.
She is the mayor, though.
The mayor.
Right, but she wasn't identifying herself as the mayor here. And I was at a meeting last night where somebody pointed out, wasn't the mayor at one of those meetings, but she wasn't here representing the city or being the mayor. And that is put in the minutes. So if she's not representing or identifying herself as that, that is relevant that she's not identified as that in the minutes.
I guess without making that change necessarily, we should probably watch the video to see. I thought she identified herself as the mayor.
So I thought she did too.
Otherwise, I would label it the same as, she wasn't in there as a capacity representing the city, she was representing personal perspective, so I would title it the same way Commissioner Dahlheiden has. Jillian Hendricks, resident of Albertville.
Right, you could put in fairness that she said she's a member of the city board, but I didn't know what that meant. I don't know all the council and the mayors.
I
City
remember
council.
her saying she was mayor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Pardon me?
almost certain of it. It was in her introduction, I think.
Yeah,
All right.
I'd have to listen.
I'd like that reviewed then, I guess. So we're looking at the other one, so in fairness, that's the way I heard it. If we need to review it now or at a later time before we adopt it, I don't know how that works.
Madam Chair, I don't know if it's germane to the topic per se, but I guess I'm reacting to the subsequent discussions I did have with the city administrators of both of those cities. The discussion I had with them is they indicated to me that there was no discussion at those board meetings regarding redistricting. I realize that, happened after the meeting, so I guess my recommendation would be to reflect it as was stated, saying individual resident of city, comma, on board. I think that kind of splits the difference. If that works for the panel, I'd recommend that
City
language.
council. Yeah.
With those changes, then I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay.
All right. Motion made by Commissioner Leiden. Is there a second?
I'll second them.
Second by Commissioner Vetch. Any more discussion?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Ketchmark?
is it all lumped together with workshop? I had something for that also. And I see we got 12 pages of minutes. Is that all considered one or?
Yeah, it would be, but yeah.
Okay, one item on page 9 of 12, we're talking about the new government center update. Right above the recommendation in bold print, it notes that I recommended sending out a survey in response to Alan wondering about the use of the potential cafe space. So it says Ketchmark recommended sending out a survey to find out what employees would like in the space. There seemed to be agreement up here, but that didn't make recommendation on the next line. Is somebody opposed to sending that out, or can that be included in the recommendation?
Yeah, that could be included. I know Alan's aware of it, and he is
I
working.
know you thought it was a good idea.
Oh, it is.
We did pass those minutes last week, but yeah.
Well, it says draft here, but
Yeah.
on my copy. Okay, so do we need our motions amended to include that recommendation?
Is that the only change you have?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll amend my motion to include that in there.
Okay. All right. And are you okay with that?
Yes.
Mr.
Yep.
Commissioner Batch? All
Yep.
right. No more discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, minutes are approved. The agenda, anything that needs to be added,
Madam,
subtracted?
yes, Madam Chair, I do have an item to remove. We do have the 910 item with the 2 plats. Those are going to need some additional review, so we will lay those over to a future meeting.
All right, we will remove item C, Recorder's Office.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Letter.
I'd like to add the school roof at the fairgrounds.
You'd like to add what?
The school roof at the fairgrounds.
All right. Is that under items for consideration 3?
Fine.
All right, anything else? Not a look,
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with the amendment.
Oh, second.
motion made by Commissioner Deliza, second by Commissioner Ketchmark. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. The consent agenda, anything that anyone would like to remove for further discussion?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll
Motion
second.
made by Commissioner Batch, seconded by Commissioner Delighten. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Motion carries. Timed items. Mr. Virgil Hawkins, our highway engineer.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Board of Commissioners. There's one highway item for your consideration this morning, and it's a request to approve a quitclaim deed for the transfer of an easement to the city of Delano.
Or if you've had a chance to,
Yeah, Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the quitclaim deed transferring to the easement to the city of Delano.
I'll second that.
motion made by Commissioner Delighten, seconded by Commissioner Vetch. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
No opposed? All right. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Virgil. Okay, Mr. Pat O'Malley with an important recognition.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Board. Here again for another year has passed. As you know, in 1984, Ronald Reagan signed a proclamation creating National Corrections Officer Week, and so I'm here today with a proclamation and resolution, if I may.
Please read it.
Though the job of correctional officers and employees is often very challenging and at times stressful, the thousands who work in corrections profession every day perform their duties well and with great pride. They are brave, courageous, and tenacious individuals who put their lives and health at risk every day to keep the public safe and provide a multitude of services to the nation's offenders. They have a tremendous responsibility and are owed our gratitude. The past 2 years have been a testament to the dedication and service and bravery of our Wright County correctional officers. Through all of the unknown and all of the risk, both legally and physically, they have continued to be there every day, working inside of our jail with our offenders. Our Wright County correctional officers are most deserving of our respect, our thanks, and the highest praise. They are well trained, always on watch, and prepared to meet any challenge. The men and women working in the Sheriff's Office Jail Division make a difference in our communities. They work with and manage more than 4,000 offenders a year in our county. They work inside the jail and outside of the public eye. Their abilities and reputation have allowed us to successfully work with multiple jurisdictions, and we continue to attract good, experienced people, even at a time when other agencies are struggling to bring new people in. On behalf of the Sheriff and the Sheriff's Office Command, we commend those who serve in the corrections profession. For the resolution, resolution proclaiming May 1 through 5 of 2022 as Correctional Officers and Employee Week in Wright County. Whereas correctional officers are trained law enforcement professionals dedicated to maintaining a safe correctional facility and ensuring the public safety. And whereas correctional officers are essential to the success of our criminal justice process. And whereas correctional officers' work includes daily exposure in a hostile environment with some of the most dangerous individuals in society. And whereas correctional officers and employees provide offenders with direction, hope, and a new focus while assisting with reentry and life outside of corrections. And whereas correctional officers and employees rise to meet any challenge and serve this honorable profession nobly and admirably. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Wright County Board of Commissioners do hereby acknowledge the week of May 1st through 7th as 2022 as Correctional Officers and Employee Week in honor of the dedicated professionals who serve the citizens of Wright County by supervising the county's inmate population.
Madam
Thank you very
Chair,
much.
I will happily make a motion for a resolution announcing May 1st through the 7th as National Correctional Officers Week in Wright County.
I'll second.
Well, I'll second.
Ketchmark.
Motion made by Commissioner Vetch, seconded by Commissioner Ketchmark, and yeah, I really appreciate this because I know firsthand what it's like to be locked in jail with a lot of people.
We do more
Really?
time than a lot of them.
Yeah,
You want to clarify that?
well, let me say that I got to leave at the end of my 8 hours.
Oh, okay.
But you add it up, we still do more time than most of them.
Right, exactly.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I'm assuming that we'll get this out on the county website, and there's some places at in the sheriff's office and then downstairs that you'll post this?
Yes,
yeah,
Good.
that's great.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
thank you.
All right, this is a resolution. We'll start with Commissioner Ketchmark.
Aye.
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 Resolution passes 5-0. Thanks, Captain.
And thank all the people that works there.
Yes, for sure. All right, our next,
920.
20 for the public hearing, so.
yes, we have
Gap.
9:20 at the public hearing. So we will move on to items for consideration. We're ahead of schedule. So adopt a resolution proclaiming another very important thing. April 26th is County Government Appreciation Day. Administrator Kelly.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Governor Walz has declared today to be County Government Appreciation Day, April 26th. You may recall last year there was also a day, I believe it was in July, that was stated to recognize county employees. So thought it appropriate to send out from the county level a recognition of the work that our employees do on behalf of the public and adopt a resolution at the county level to correspond with what the governor has adopted as a proclamation. So,
Do we want him to speak it, sing it? I mean, he's a singer. We could have him sing it, something different.
Well, I can read the resolution.
I will defer.
Commending the commitment and dedication to public service excellence of county staff and officials by proclaiming April 26th County Government Appreciation Day. Whereas Minnesota's 87 counties employ over 36,000 people to provide essential services to create healthy, safe, and vibrant communities, and whereas the work of all county employees is fundamental, whether it's newborn well checked by a public health nurse, a passport renewal at a license center, or voter registration and ballot processing, and whereas their commitment to public service, county employees dedicate their time, skills, and expertise for the benefit of their neighbors, and at times risk their personal safety, coordinating emergency management and managing justice and public safety systems. And whereas the vital work of counties promotes healthy communities, fosters conditions for economic growth, strengthens infrastructure, and improves residents' quality of life, now therefore, be it resolved, the Wright County Board of Commissioners recognizes the commitment and dedication to public service excellence of county staff and officials and proclaim April 26th County Government Appreciation Day. Guess we got it back to, nope, it's a different one.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to proclaim April 26th in Wright County as Government a Workers' Appreciation Day.
All right, motion made by
Seconded.
Commissioner, I think Commissioner Witter got in the
Here.
I was just
She was a little quiet. She was a little quiet. All right. Motion made in second. Any more discussion? Aside from, I think this is, really good because we want to, do what we can to recognize our employees, but we don't always have that opportunity with as many as we have.
Madam Chair, could we clap or something? I mean, they're gonna hear it,
Well, why don't we take a vote and then we can clap?
Okay,
And we've approved it.
sounds great.
All right. So start with Commissioner Delighten.
Aye.
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 All right,
All right. Resolution passes 5-0, and thank you.
couldn't do anything without him.
We could not, we could
That's
not.
for sure.
Yep, they show up every day and do their job, and, you know, we don't always think to thank them about it, for sure. All right. Then the second one is to adopt a resolution establishing the official posting location for our Mr. Kelly.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A bit of housekeeping and logistics as we move to the new facility, given that that is now our public location where we will be holding our meetings going forward. Felt it was appropriate in light of Minnesota Statute 13D04 to designate our public posting location, both for the county board in this instance, but we will also be adopting corresponding for the other bodies that will meet on behalf of the government. So I would ask for your support on this resolution.
All right,
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to, proclaim or
establish.
there's the word, establish 3650 Braddock Avenue, Buffalo, Minnesota as the official meeting of Wright County.
Posting.
Boardroom location.
Posting.
And posting location, yeah.
All
I'll
right.
second it.
Motion made by Commissioner Vetch, seconded by Commissioner Delyden. Any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Ketchmark?
an employee pointed out a day or two ago, we're talking 3650 and we got several buildings out there that there isn't the address number on each building to designate which one is 3650 per se. And I talked to Tim Dahl about it. I think he was going to relay to Alan, but it's something to keep in mind for both deliveries and emergency and otherwise, that we got the proper addressing.
Yeah, yeah, good point, thank you. All right, any more discussion? Hearing,
Yeah, Madam Chair, just kind of on a different type of note, I'm not sure if you're aware, if you guys read the Post, but the post office has been returning letters to the residents that are being mailed to, they're not forwarding any of our mail, or some of it, or something.
right,
So, just so that everybody's aware of
yeah,
that.
and Lindsay can speak to that, she had a posting about that.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, we were alerted at the end of last week that these were starting to be returned. We worked with both the national and the local post office service to try and resolve this. Our local postmaster is reaching out to all of the local post workers and making sure that they are not returning them. He is also working with any other cities in the area as we are made aware that they are also having the return notification. And beyond that, we have confirmed that it has nothing to do with how we did our change of address form. It's a glitch in their system and they're working on it. We've done everything we can to try and address the situation.
Okay.
Thank you,
Madam
Lindsay.
Chair, and to the point of the defense of some of the employees, because I know that on social media, they took a little bit of, I don't know, I guess a beating for saying that the county workers don't know how to get a mail forwarding request form filled out. I just want to put to the fact that that was, that was not the case.
Right.
Everything on our end was done correctly. This was some issues on the post office end, so.
Madam Chair?
Yeah, Commissioner
Just a
Ketchmark.
question, is any deadlines for taxes or anything affected to where people mailed them in, let's say, last minute? Because I know there's hard deadlines where there's going to be penalties.
We
for some
have
of these
time.
things. Okay,
We have time to get this corrected. The due date is May 15th.
okay. Otherwise, we'd be
So
hearing
and
about
there
it.
are many other options for making payment. So they can come in, they can try to remail it. I'm not sure if that would work at this point. I don't know if they are continuing to have issues at the post office. I know we're trying to resolve it, but I don't know if this is going to be an ongoing issue or if this was Thursday, Friday of last week and it's now resolved. I'm not sure.
Okay.
And when things are more automated, it's different than the old days. Okay, forward, but yeah, thank you. Thank you. Any other comments? Hearing none, roll call vote. Commissioner Vetch?
Aye.
Aye.
All right,
Aye.
Aye. Resolution passes. We have official postings. All right. Well, we've got less than a minute until our public hearing for temporary placement.
So yeah, staff come up and do the introduction on it.
It's 9:20 now.
Yeah.
Oh, yep.
Oh,
9:20.
okay. It is 9:20 now. So, Mr. Mark Mattice from Assistant Administrator.
Morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. You have to close for public hearing?
Pardon?
You have to close for public hearing,
Post, well,
Post.
meeting,
post,
and open a
open.
public hearing.
Yep.
Yes, yes. We will, yes, and I didn't know if you had some more comments before we open, but we will open up our public hearing for the temporary placement of a mobile home for supportive care.
Madam Chair, members of the board, we have a request for temporary placement of mobile home for supportive care. I've received one comment, one phone call. Outside of that, I don't know if anybody's here to speak to it. And the only comment I received was process for removal once the home is no longer needed. Answer was provided. Resident seems satisfied. So if anybody else is here to speak, you can call.
Yeah.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner
I do
Lyon.
have one question. Looking at the letter from the Planning and Zoning regarding the septic system, they had to make a decision on which way they were going to go.
They have, sir.
Okay.
And they have submitted, as of yesterday, septic paid up with septic planner, and planning and zoning is working them through that process.
Okay.
So
Okay. Just wanted to make sure that.
be good.
Decision. Good.
Good. All right. So I will open up the floor for the public. If anyone has any comments they'd like to make regarding the temporary placement of a mobile home.
People are jumping out of their seats.
Pardon?
People are jumping out of their seats.
I know. I thought they probably would. So. All right. I'll say again, would anyone like to speak on the temporary placement of a mobile home? Would anyone from the public like to speak on the placement of the mobile home? Hearing none, I'll close the public comments and bring it up to the board. Board, do you have any comments that you'd like to make?
Madam Chair.
Yeah, Commissioner
One
Ketchmark.
question, just from planning and zoning experience, is there a form sent out to the township to ask for feedback, or they questions, comments, approve or not of such a thing, that, are they made aware of it, the
Madam
proposal?
Chair, Commissioner Ketchmark, I know that in the ordinance it says to send out notice to residents within 500 feet. It does not in the ordinance talk about sending to townships. I could look at Greg Kreiserberry having a computer glitch right now, so I don't believe in the ordinance it said so.
Okay, just wondering if they get a chance to give the input similar to other planning and zoning things, but, all right.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve allowing a temporary placement of a structure of supportive care on the 9684 Ifford Avenue, Monticello.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Commissioner Vetch, seconded by Commissioner Delyden. Any more discussion? Hearing none, this isn't a resolution, correct? So we just have a vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. All right, we still have 7 minutes before our next public hearing, so we'll move on to items for consideration number 3. Commissioner Wetter, you had something about the school roof?
Yes,
Fairgrounds.
I understand that the insurance money has already been received for the roof damages at the state county fair. And I was wondering whether, since the fair board could not decide yet on their buildings that they own, whether we couldn't at least have some money released so that the school roof could be replaced, seeing that that is a county-owned building. It's owned by the Historical Society. And at least a portion, or if most of it couldn't be released, so that something gets done before these roofers get so busy that it's fair time already, which, you know, before long it could come up pretty quick.
Board?
I don't know. I had to ask Lee for his.
Yeah,
comment.
just, Madam Chair, I was trying to quickly see if I could get, I don't believe Alan's on here, but get the amount of what that may be. Unfortunately, I don't have that. I know staff are going to meet this afternoon and work on this, as well as coordinating a meeting with the Fair Board between Tim Allen and other staff. So fortunately, I don't have more information in my hands right now, but
Sally and Hannah would be here, but they're presenting at a conference today and tomorrow.
Okay.
So- well, I mean, yesterday and today.
Madam Chair,
Yeah,
So-
Commissioner Vetch?
just for the issue that we don't know quite the lanes of who's responsible for what buildings, we don't know the cost, we don't have staff on either side to talk to it. I think for the lack of that information, we're gonna have to table it out to a later date.
Yes, I would recommend, board, that we either have a committee of the whole, or we put this on as a
Correct.
workshop item, which is only in a couple of
Madam
weeks.
Chair? Didn't we already have, do we have something on the calendar to talk about fairgrounds and such that we could put this on at the same time?
correct. We have a direction from a previous, I believe it was the workshop, direction to schedule a committee of the whole. And in part, that was the meeting this afternoon to work through the logistics of getting that scheduled to make sure we knew what worked for all the parties. The other piece of that, we had also discussed the, potential of transferring or selling that property as well with the Fair Board, and wanted to have that discussion too. So apologies, don't have more information immediately here, but
Okay.
certainly want to keep it moving, because I agree with your point that the fair's coming quicker than you believe. Given, it's been a colder and somewhat wetter spring, it's slowed things down a bit, but once it gets warm, everybody's got their list of stuff that needs to get done, so.
And I just wanted to make sure that this gets rolling, like I
Right.
said, so.
Agreed.
So I appreciate that.
All right,
So
thank you.
we might hear something next meeting, or?
Yeah, I would like to be able to schedule a next meeting, come to you guys with a date.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that up. All right, we still have a couple minutes yet, so why don't we look at Parks and Recreation? We have a resolution authorizing appropriate county officials to sign grant applications, agreements, and certificates in regards to the Wright County Snowmobilers Association in the Grant and Aid Snowmobile Assistance Program for 22-23 season.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to authorize the Director of Parks and Recreation to sign grant applications, agreements, and certifications in regards to the Wright County Snowmobile Association.
All right, motion made by Commissioner Vetch,
Second it.
second by Commissioner Leiden. Is there any questions or discussions on that? Hearing none, it is a resolution, roll call vote. Commissioner Wetter?
Aye.
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 All right, resolution passes. I think we got time for the next resolution. It's an updated resolution authorizing appropriate county officials to sign grant agreements and certifications with Minnesota Department of Natural Resources for development and maintenance funds.
I'll make a
Any
motion.
questions on that?
I'll make a motion to approve the updated resolution.
All right, motion made by Commissioner Leiden. Is
I'll
there a
second that.
Second by Commissioner Vetch. Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. I'll start. Aye.
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 All right, resolution passes. Well, we've got just about a minute, so we'll shuffle our papers for a couple seconds here. Unless anyone has a 30-second update from anything, your advisory committees.
I suppose we can start the,
Pardon?
Madam Chair, we can probably have staff at least get the stuff up on the screen and for the
Yeah,
preliminary
that would-
start here before we, because the public hearing is for the comment piece, so.
Good idea.
I guess just as a matter of introduction, so as you may recall, board last meeting, we did have a public hearing regarding the proposed redistricting or commissioner districts, I should say, which last week we had presented just retaining the districts, which we do have, for anyone that's interested, we do have copies of the 2 maps that are on the table here today. As a matter of follow-up, we did continue the public hearing regarding this matter to today's meeting. Based on discussion that took place at the last meeting, staff were directed and did prepare a second map, as was suggested or recommended by the comments at the meeting last week, which would be notated in the packet as map number 2. So for the purposes of today, as I mentioned, we have extended the public hearing to today's meeting. We will need to adopt a resolution today, as this is our deadline at the county, in order to make sure that we are able to file in a timely manner with the state, with our district. So anyone that wishes to speak, I would just recommend use the podium. We do have a sign-in. If you would please sign in, that does help the minute taker in making sure that we have names correct. So with that, I will turn it over to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. We will open the public hearing in the matter of the county commissioner districts. And as it was mentioned, we had gotten some suggestions for change, actually swapping one city for 2 precincts in St. Michael. And currently, as it stands in District 3, in District 3, it's Otsego and, am I looking at the right map?
Dayton and Eastern
Yeah.
St. Michael.
Yeah, Eastern St. Michael, thank you. And in District 4, they have Albertville, St. Michael, 2 of the precincts, Rockford Township. And discussion,
Got Hanover.
and Hanover, sorry. And the discussion is basically moving Albertville into District 3 and the 2 precincts into District 4 of St. Michael. Would anyone from the public like to speak on this matter? If you would like to come up, state your name and your city, and we'll move from there. Anyone like to speak matter? Yes.
Madam Chair, just for housekeeping for our minute taker, if you want to at least spell your last name, makes it easier for her in typing these up later.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mine's pretty easy. Steve Bott, BOT, City Administrator and Public Works Director for the City of St. Michael. Thank you for extending the hearing, giving us a chance to speak, and thank you for your past support of what are key issues for our city and the ones around us. The transportation one most recently, extending that was really important and a key need of our cities for the county. I watched the tape from the last one. I was surprised, along with a lot of others. I was not expecting that, and this is based on our conversations with our council members, commissioners, and the county administrator, that there was going to be any proposed changes, which was fine with the city of St. Michael. I was a little disappointed that St. Michael was mentioned 15 times before anybody said they should check with St. Michael. Apologize for not being at that meeting. Certainly would have been there if, and we'd have been represented if I knew that those changes were going to be done. Historically, I think some of you have seen, hopefully, 10 years ago, there were 11 options that were actually presented. One of those was to go to 7 districts, which I knew was discussed. Very thorough process. I think there was 4 committee of the whole meetings to discuss it. Under all those 11 options, St. Michael was proposed to be split in every one of those 11 options. Under all of those at the time, Monticello and Otsego in particular were just 1 precinct and couldn't be split because of that. Since then, I think you've seen some of the current maps with all the different precincts. Monticello, Otsego, Albertville. There's multiple options. If we're going to consider options, I came up with a 3rd option. I know growth was mentioned. This option would have the districts in Albertville, St. Michael, Otsego, Hanover and Monticello, those growing areas that was mentioned at the meeting of the county would be the lowest number, and we'd push the highest numbers out to the far west where there's less growth. So I do have a third option. I'm sure there's a lot more we could come up with for your consideration if additional options are on the table with that. At the end of the day, like I mentioned, there's some things that are very important to our cities and the ones around, and the county commissioners, as it sits today, have done a really good job of addressing those, primarily transportation. We enjoy a good relationship with our neighboring cities, some of which you've heard from on emails recently here about this possible change, encouraging to keep it the same. Some of those include, with Otsego, we've got a big one that we'll need county help for coming up with Neighbor Avenue interchange. Things you've supported for us with the Assessor's Department, things that you've supported with the Sheriff's Department. Those are all really key issues. I know some issues were brought up, Fire Department and other things that I'm not really sure. Maybe I'm missing something, but don't really seem to be key county commissioner issues. So. With that, I just would request on behalf of St. Michael that you go with your staff recommendation, and that was to not make any changes. And thank you for your time.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Would anyone else from the public like to speak? Yes.
Hi. My name's Penny Steele. I'm a former Hennepin County Commissioner who has the good sense to have moved to Wright County. I spent 14 years on the Hennepin County Board of Commissioners. I didn't choose to run again in 2008. I live in Albertville, and I have a little concern about this map number 1. Back in 2002, when the county redistricted, the one and only time when I was, during my 14 years, any of us, the 7 of us commissioners, could have the software on our computers to go through and actually go through the exercise of drawing these districts. And it was an eye-opening experience. And one of the first things, Hennepin County adopts a set of parameters, and I look back and they're the same ones 20 years later. And they probably mostly come from case law to make sure that you are defensible in court with your redistricting plan. And so highest priorities are population being equal, essentially equal, but other ones are also that you don't divide cities unless you absolutely have to. That's one of the parameters. There's also a compactness test. And I have to tell you, when I saw this map 1, I don't see any evidence of anybody applying a compactness test to this, because District 1 surely does not meet that test. And you certainly could have drawn this in a way that addressed compactness, which is one of the vehicles for court challenges to your redistricting plan. The other ones are communities of interest, and the things that sort of bind, we look at. I also spent a little time in Howard Lake. Definitely a different flavor from this exurban Albertville, Otsego, St. Michael area, which is exurban Twin Cities. And so you look at communities of interest and all of that. But I'm concerned that I didn't see any data on any applied compactness test to this map number 1 at all. And clearly splitting a St. Michael when it wasn't necessary is of concern to me. And if it's, Minneapolis loved having 3 county commissioners and even 4. And guess what happened on a 7-member board? They held us hostage for what they wanted in a lot of ways. I was very vocal, and a lot of times if I really was vocal about what they were doing to the suburbs to pay for Minneapolis. I'll give you a creepy example. We paid them to plow our county roads in the winter, some of the county roads, and guess what? They didn't plow them in a timely manner. So what happened? One of the Minneapolis commissioners brought the resolution that said, we'll just do it for them. So we paid, my citizens of Western Hennepin County got to pay twice to plow those same roads. So I am very sensitive to trying to make one city more important than the rest of the cities in a county. It matters. And each of the 5 of you have particular unique districts, and that's really important. And it's important to advocate what's the right thing. And in redistricting, it's really not about who might have to run again, because on Hennepin County, you always take your 2-year term. It comes with the territory. And I had one colleague whose district was perfect after redistricting, before redistricting, didn't have to run. But so that we would do it properly and correctly, ended up running again and voluntarily, voting to set up a redistricting plan that would actually accommodate and do the right thing around the parameters and the priorities. The other thing that I'm a little concerned with, you look at map 1, District 3 clearly is a high growth area, and yet that's more populated than other areas of and it's going to grow, and you know that. To sort of sit on a map that was made 10 years ago, I think really is not in the spirit of how you should approach redistricting. It is really not about any individual. It is not, and I'll give you one last story of a very large county where the county commissioner said, hey, they drew it, so we don't have to run again. They were so proud, the administration set that all up, and they were all happy. And they didn't have to run, but guess what? They lost eventually, because elections are about talking to the people. They're about getting out and knowing. And in this day and time, more than ever, people want to be talked to. So I would just encourage you to not just adopt map number 1, because I think you clearly have not addressed kind of 2 of the high parameters there. You're overpopulating a district that's going to grow over time, and then you're again, dividing a very large city in this county, and I can't see a very good rational purpose other than choosing to have almost the majority of the board be ready and able to go, which I think is just wrong. Do the right thing. You can make a case for St. Michael, you can make a case for Howard Lake, you can make a case for doing the right thing. And I found, even being the minority on a county board in terms of partisanship, if you look out for your district properly, it never seemed to matter in the group as a whole. So I would encourage you to look hard at map number, well, at least you've given us only 2, but number 2 is certainly better than 1. So thank you for your time, and thank you for Wright County.
Thank you. All right, is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak? Yes. Hi, Jean.
Hi, I'm Jeannie Holland, resident of Albertville, born and raised and raised my family in St. Michael. I just think for the case of Wright County as a whole, it makes more sense to really review this, and especially because now's the time. We can't do this. We have to do this now, or we're stuck with it for 10 years. And if anybody's driven through St. Michael, driven through Otsego, there's a lot of land that's being developed right now. We don't even know what the future in 10 years is going to look like. St. Michael residents have been surprised at how fast the Linneman Damer property is going up, and then now with the Casper property across the street. So for that reason, I think we should kind of be forward thinking. The other thing too is, as a resident of Albertville, and I had one of my kids had a house in Otsego, I realized that we share a zip code with Otsego, half of Otsego. We're more aligned with Otsego as an Albertville resident because, fire services, we're tucked in with Otsego a lot better than the St. Michael. St. Michael's across the freeway. But also, it is kind of alarming when you have a 5-person board to have one city get the 2 commissioners. And so it looks shady. And because of the growth, I think, you know, there's a good representation here of citizens, especially when it's, you know, taking time out of work. I think this is a good example of people taking off work, but I think there's more people, when it's brought to their attention, feel that this is an issue for the public to maybe have more conversation about. And maybe we need to look at this because it is basically, the door's going to close, and we need to make sure that we do our due diligence. But thank you for your time, and we'll see what happens.
Thanks, Jeannie. Anyone else from the public like to speak? Yes.
My name is Ed Kalinda, and I live in Otsego, and I've only been a resident of the city since about 2009. One thing that I notice as I'm looking at the districts here and also the population and growth is that Otsego is growing almost exponentially. And I've noticed that being involved with elections over the last 8 years or 9 years or 10 years or whatever. With that being said, I also have come to realize that as our district ends up getting more population, and also St. Michael getting more population, and the other districts pretty much staying the same, as we're not really being equally represented as far as our taxes being used, et cetera, and et cetera. Also, I realize we're being a tax-generating communities more so than the outlying districts. And I have nothing, you know, I'm not saying this, it's a statement of fact. And it's not something against, you know, the rest of the county. Actually, I feel sorry for us because of the growth. When I moved in Otsego, I could look across the street, I could see farm fields and the farmers working the fields. That's gone away, and that really saddens me. So I think one of the reasons we should go ahead and do with the, you know, the redistricting and bringing Albertville into Otsego and us giving up PEEP 1B to St. Michael, it combines again, like she was saying, the cities together, you know, their whole district, but also it's for equal representation and, you know, across the district, the whole county, because we'd be around 28,005 for each district, which right now it's not. Also, I think most government boards, legislatures, senates, whatever, always are reactive instead of being proactive. And I think we have a good chance of looking at the future and kind of anticipating what's going on, and the handwriting's on the wall, and saying, yeah, we can do this and bring things into alignment beforehand so we'll have more control in the future. And that is, well, that's pretty much all I have to say. And
Thank you, Ed. Anyone else from the public would like to speak? Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak? Yes. Hi, sir.
Hello, my name is Tom ONeill. I live in Otsego. ONeill, O-N-E-I-L-L. My only one concern with the first map as compared to the second map, I got a couple concerns, but one specifically is just the amount of growth in Otsego. And I look at a House district and how the state allocates the amount of constituents per House seat. And it's very, very strictly regulated, and that's why the maps are drawn every 10 years to redistrict. And if the amount of growth is what I'm seeing it is, we could see a 10% change in representation over the next 10 years. So I would really advocate for this board to look at that so each constituent has the same amount of representation. That would be my biggest concern. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Anyone else from the public would like to speak? Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak? Hello.
Good morning, Commissioners. Stacy Braun, B as in boy, R-A-U-N. I'm a resident of Monticello, but I also have property interest in Otsego as well. I'm a 45-year resident of Wright County, and I would ask the board to strongly consider redistricting and looking at the redistricting map and considerations that we have in front of us now. I think as a county, as Wright County, we need to have forward thinking. We can look at the districts the way they're set now and realize that, yes, it's worked for the last 10 years, but we have to have forward thinking and look at the different areas that we have and the growth. Having property interest in Otsego, I can tell you that Otsego and Albertville are more aligned. You know, we share some services to include a fire chief, and those services in the future could also change. With that change is, again, the reason I'm asking you to consider redistricting and have some forward thinking to look at where we're going to be in the next 10 years and not just today or within the next year. Again, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak? Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak? Yes.
Jillian Hendrickson, Albertville resident. I just wanted to thank the commissioners for listening to the feedback that was given at the public hearing. You know, I've heard from several members of the community since then. Many think, you know, that it was done out of maliciousness. It was not. So I just wanted to just thank you all for taking the time to listen to residents, but also to keep an open mind. My only request today is that we please keep politics out of it, and we do what looks best for the best representation of the population for the county. So that would be my recommendation.
Thank you, Jeannie. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak? Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak? Last time. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak?
This is the reason why you have people spell their last name. Tom Darkenwald. D-A-R-K-E-N-W-A-L-D. Otsego. All right. Commissioners, thank you for listening to everyone and for the public participation that we had. Public discourse is very important. The next 10 years have a big impact on many different communities that you guys are sitting here and deciding on today. I first learned of this possible change last week. 10 years ago, the commission, made up of different commissioners at the time, were forced to because of the 10% rule. At that time, we had a lot of public interactions, being able to meet with our constituents, meeting with St. Michael, Albertville, surrounding communities, Monticello, and we were able to have that public discourse that is really needed when you're making such big changes. End of the day, we all agreed on the plan, map 1. In October, Mr. Delyden came to the city of Otsego, gave a presentation, let us know that you guys had the numbers, and you guys were not looking at changing the lines. Otsego made decisions based on that information and based on not hearing anything from our neighbors. Now, being neighborly, it's important that if someone believes that something should be changed, that you go to them, you say, hey, we think that there should be changes. This is why. That public discourse is important because we built relationships with surrounding communities and with surrounding cities. That's taken a lot of time to build those relationships and that trust. And we want to continue that going forward with our neighbors. And for that reason at this point in time, without being able to really kind of do all that due diligence, being able to go out to the public, and this being last minute, and given that we came into this thinking and made decisions based on the current map 1, I would encourage you guys to go with map 1. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak? Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak? Last time? All right.
Hi, Tina Gady, City of Otsego, 12330 73rd Street Northeast. Thanks again for having this open forum once again. And thank you for taking the time to listen to everyone that spoke here today. We really appreciate it. And as many of us have said, you know, just trying to do what's right. That's what I'm here for the cities that surround Wright County, to doing the right thing for our growth, being proactive versus reactive. I think that's critical in what we do every day in life. So I appreciate that. And looking at the maps, thank you for putting those together too, and the numbers are great. It really shows in map 2 where all of them align, all the districts align, and that's great. They're more succinct, which makes sense for the cities and the county members. And again, something that, you know, we just need to keep the politics aside and do what's right for the cities and for Wright County. So, you know, I'm not sure what things we've done to move forward with map 1 and why that can't change versus with St. Michael, Otsego. But I think moving forward with map 2 is the right decision moving forward. So thank you again for listening to all of us that are here today, and hope that we make the right decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak? Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak? Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak? All right. No one else? I'll close the public hearing part and bring this back up to the board. I guess, you know, looking at when we got our notice, actually last August, when they did the redistricting, or when they looked at the population, and we looked at it as, you know, the different districts were within the 10%, and we kind of went, okay, high five, we don't have to even look at this. And someone said to me, you know, recently, you know, why didn't you look at this? Seeing the big difference, it was in 10%, but you've got, you know, at that time, 30,000 in district, or actually in Otsego, and, excuse me, District 3, and 26,000 in District 4. And so there's kind of that disparity, and also, you know, why divide a city? Because that's, I mean, I was asked to testify for the congressional districts to keep all of Wright County within one congressional district. That's the goal. Buffalo had 3 commissioners at one point, and that just kind of gets confusing. And plus, it's not necessarily fair when we've got 17 cities and 18 townships. We've got, you know, some of us have, you know, the 5th district, you have a lot of cities and a lot of townships. You know, I have 3 cities and 5 townships. I mean, Commissioner Vetch has, what, 3 cities and 4 townships. And so, you know, we try to be as fair as you can. And so we didn't look at this. And you're right, it's not about individuals. It's about what's best for the whole county. When you look at, I mean, these numbers are no longer accurate from the 2020 census. We've had, last year, we had 250, in 2021, 251 homes that went up in St. Michael, and 409 in Otsego. So already it's kind of getting unbalanced. So we're probably looking, I mean, if you just take 2 people per household, you're looking at 500 more people in St. Michael, and you're looking at 800 more people in Otsego. And my niece now moved to Otsego, and they're a 5-person household. So, it's at least 2 people in each one. But that's just kind of some of my concerns. And I did speak with a former commissioner who, they had a tough go of trying to decide, how to divide up these districts when they have 10 different options plus the 7-commissioner option. It was tough. There was, Administrator Bott, you said they had a lot of committee of the whole meetings, and I read all their minutes. And also, the other thing that you mentioned is that you have good relationships, and I think that you do. Your cities in the eastern part of the county, particularly, Otsego and St. Michael. Albertville doesn't have a whole lot of more room to grow, but certainly I think that you've got good relationships because you have similar things going on. But those are just kind of some of my comments. Else have comments?
Yeah, Madam Chair.
Yes.
I don't have a dog in the fight. I won't be running.
I don't.
But, and a lot of comments have been that the public, the public hearings, the public meetings, what had happened last time. And that's my only concern, is that, we had expressed that we weren't going to do any changes way back. Mm-hmm. And to have this brought up 2 weeks before we have to make a decision and submit it to the state kind of concerns me, because the public doesn't get a chance. All the public doesn't get a chance to speak at it. And that's what concerns me the most. Yeah. Because I agree that the public should have an input. And we've heard from a few, but that's not everybody.
True. I did reach out to all of my cities and townships and asked for any input. Just, this is the article that was on there about the redistricting, and also our meeting from last week. And I didn't get any comments back. Basically, one said, "Will this affect our city?" And no, it would not in District 1 particularly. But it's just, what is the right thing to do? Is it to have, certainly, we have 17 cities and 18 townships, and there's only one that has 2 commissioners representing one city. Mm-hmm. And is that fair? Or is it better to put that one city in one district, which is, as mentioned, the goal is when you can keep a whole city together, it's much better. And there are projects. If I go to my cities and townships, like twice a year. Well, that's maybe just 16 meetings, but when you have fewer, you have the ability to go more. And if you've got 2 commissioners that are attending, because you only have 1 city council for St. Michael, you don't have 2 city councils in the 2 different precincts. You have 1 city council.
4 precincts.
So. Madam Chair.
What?
4 precincts.
Oh, but yeah, the 2. I'm sorry, the two, 1 and 3 and 2 and 4. Yes. Yes, Commissioner Wetter.
I guess I have the same problem that Commissioner Deline has. This idea of redistricting just about districting got brought up months ago. And now, like he said, in the 11th hour, it's suddenly getting brought up again without really a lot of talk from all the people, We've got some of them here that are activists that are in the county, and I'm bringing up politics, I'm sorry, but I'm just going to say that they're activists, they will speak. But how about the rest of the people that, probably would either like to see it or not see it. Okay, I talked to the mayor of Hanover. Now, he called me last night, and he said they didn't know anything about this. They just found out by, by the mayor of St. Michael. And he called me and said, hey, I'm against it. I can't speak for the whole council, but I'm against any type of redistricting. My husband happened to be in Rockford Township right after this happened, helping a neighbor in planning and zoning for this neighbor, and happened to bring it up. And they had the same reaction. We haven't heard anything about it. We'd be against it, So I think that, like I said, to throw this at us in the 11th hour to decide something so quickly, I think not only maybe that area, but the rest of the county should be looked at too. And there's not time to do all that.
Well,
so,
if you look at the rest of the other three districts, they're all, one's 28,000, one's, well, just
yeah,
over 28.
well, they're within the
almost,
5%, and either way, they're 5%. So they're having representation either way by their commissioners.
Right.
So I don't see that there's a whole lot to be gained by changing this.
I guess just for the, and I respect that, and this is the only thing that would bother me about doing this, because I do believe it's the right thing to do, is that you have to run. You'd have to run again. But I would propose in that if this passed, that we go to map 2, I would propose that be a 4-year seat, so you wouldn't have to run again in 2 years.
Okay, that would be the question I would have.
Yeah, and that's what I would propose. This, as far as cost, to have, it'd be about $1,500 more to have, this District 3 be part of the election. So I'm sorry, District 4 be part of the election. However, that would be washed in the next election, you know what I mean? Because you wouldn't have another one in 2 years. So that would equalize out. But like I said, that's the only thing that's honestly the only thing that bothers me about this, because looking at numbers, and it's it was my bad. I don't know, all of us maybe have a part in sharing that. We should have looked at this, looking at that there's 4,000 more people in District 3 than District 4, and so that's a concern.
But Madam Chair,
yes,
the numbers already have changed.
Right.
I mean, what the 2020 census is not what it is now.
Right.
And to get back to the idea of St. Michael having 2 commissioners, Buffalo 10 years ago had 3.
Right.
And that wasn't right.
Not good. No,
that was not right.
It was not right.
So, and as long as everybody's getting along, I just don't see where the problems are,
Madam Chair?
Yeah, Commissioner Vetch.
So an exercise that's done every 10 years lends itself to issues. You don't have the best processes to do it. Right here, we're seeing that right now, because when you do something 10 years and you may not have to do it, like most people, you tend to lead towards the side of complacency in not doing it, because it is a very onerous task. Now, just because we don't have to doesn't mean we shouldn't.
Well.
And to that fact, after a lot of pondering and a lot of conversations, we waited a little bit later in the game to have the public hearing. I know from a county board, we'd have to take some onus on that, as well as the county administration and staff. Hindsight in some situations is 2020. Knowing what I know now, I would have opened up the conversations, and we should ongoingly, whether you are forced to or not, because this redistricting is highly a function of equality, and that's the reason we're forced to do this. In whether you statutorily meet those requirements or not, it doesn't mitigate the issues that were brought up here in the testimonies of the individuals. It would be foolish for us not to take into consideration the issues of the past, multiple commissioners within one municipality, and seeing how the functionalities of that was challenging and unequally balanced amongst that of the other districts. It would be foolish of us to not take into consideration the population disparity based on the projections that would be created. The current District 3 will be heavily overpopulated in comparison to the other districts if no changes are made. Upwards, based on some of the demographic populations scenarios, you could have a disparity of over 6,000 to 8,000 on that one district compared to that of the other districts. This one switch here would be able to mitigate that substantially with the fact that the city of Albertville is largely built out. I get that this is a very challenging conversation. I get the fact that the conversation should have started a long time ago, but after having conversations with many people within my district that aren't affected by it, but they still believe that trying to maintain that population comparison and equality is key and is important. And when you have an opportunity to not give one municipality a different playing field than that of all the other playing fields, that you should take those opportunities. So I definitely think that moving forward with MAP 2 does lend itself to a lot of sense. Now, to Commissioner Wetter's point, I do feel bad anytime anyone is forced into a re-election because of redistricting. And I do agree with Commissioner Hewsome, if that is the case, then that it should be changed in that term, changing the term from that to being a 2-year to a 4-year spot. But
And it's always difficult. I mean, we don't have the same challenges that they did 10 years ago, because they had, of the 5 commissioners, 2 ended up in the same districts. So that was a challenge, and 1 withdrew. But it also meant that 2 of them, they decided randomly, that District, 1 and 3 would have the 2-year terms, and the other would have 4-year terms. And so now they're staggered. And if we went with this and we made District 4 a 4-year term, they still would be staggered. You'd have, 2 or 3 running this year and 2 in 2 years.
Madam Chair?
Yeah, Commissioner Glyden.
Can we hear from legal? I don't know, maybe it's no big deal that, sorry, Greg, I didn't mean to wake you up. I don't know if we can arbitrarily do that or not, so I'm just kind of curious.
I was going to ask.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dowling, I'm sorry, could you repeat the question on what you're looking at arbitrarily doing?
Can we just say, okay, now this district will be a 4-year term instead of the remainder of the 2-year term?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dowling, the statute requires that you have staggered terms. If you were to change District 4 under MAP 2 to a 4-year term, you'd have 3 districts that's 4-year and then 2 up for election in 2024. So I would view that as staggered terms.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure that there wasn't something else, if there was another public hearing we had to have, or?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dowling, if you changed it to 4, I think you'd be well within the bounds of the law.
Okay,
right, because either way you have, 2 or 3 that will be up, so it's.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yep. That's it.
Right,
Thanks,
good.
Craig.
Thank you.
You can go back, take your nap.
Yeah, this, I guess for me, and we didn't have think about this really, because we didn't have to until a week ago, and just, I mean, a lot of thought, a lot of research, talking to a lot of different people, or getting input from people. And it makes the most sense, because I think that you're right. We could have Otsego, with the way it's growing, St. Michael too is growing tremendously, but it's still smaller. Otsego is the largest city and growing 47% in the last decade. It's going to grow a lot more, because there's stakes all over for new homes, and they're both going to grow.
Madam Chair.
Yeah, Commissioner Webb.
That's why 10 years ago, we proposed a seven member board, and you saw the seven map at that time, which I'm sure would change now even, but that's why we proposed that, because we had the population that we would have more representation with 7 county commissioners.
Yep. Yeah, and I don't think that anyone 10 years ago, we all knew how much the East was growing. We didn't know that Otsego would become the largest city. I don't know if anyone of us could have predicted that, but maybe you did.
I could have.
You could have.
We could have. I'm sure ex-Commissioner Potter could have said the same thing, that Otsego was going to be growing.
Oh yeah, we knew it was growing. But
growing as much as it has.
Yep.
Yeah.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Commissioner.
Can we hear from the Quiet Commissioner today?
Everyone else is done. Madam Chair.
Yes.
So I had to do a lot of catch-up and research, of course, to kind of get in touch with what we're talking about. I thank everyone for showing up today and showing interest. That's the way I look at that. The topic of cost was thrown around by staff and the public, and we had our finance department, Madam Chair said, I just want to reiterate so people are clear, $1,500 is the additional cost for this redistricting proposal, and that cost is more ballots potentially in a district that we otherwise wouldn't have needed them. And there's been people that have put a lot more zeros behind that 1,500, so I think it's important that people know that we checked into that. The other part, well, I give Commissioner Dulliden credit for going to his district when he did and talking about it, even though we didn't have to do anything. He did that, which generated attention to it for anyone that wanted to listen and take it from there. I asked about the process of this and the timeline because it seems pretty close to these filing dates. And we did follow by law the time frame public hearing. We had citizens that came last week and this week, followed the rules for public hearing. They didn't have any onus to go track down people or do articles in the paper or anything like that. The opportunity was given to them for 2 public hearings, and they took advantage of it. We all know legally, if you want to talk to the cast of characters all at one time, you have to do it here. So I don't want to put blame on anyone that they kept this to themselves, whoever it was, because there really wasn't any obligation to do it another way. That's the way they chose to do it. We were all surprised. I was anyway, but we have to, we get surprises on a weekly basis. But to that point, if you work for a city or if you're a citizen, I think this is a good lesson to have somebody have an eye on the weekly agenda at the board meetings. Because that's all out there in the open. We only got limited ways and means and expense that we're going to advertise these things. And I talk at all my meetings. Watch your agendas. So if you have a staff, have somebody keep an eye on it on a weekly basis so that you're prepared. Because otherwise there are surprises. We look at it and we even get surprised. But so good points. I'm kind of playing off the folks that are closer to those districts because nobody was talking about it in District 5. And so that I'm learning here today more feedback, and thanks again for everyone that came. Good points made by fellow commissioners. Campaign costs, I mean, those are personal decisions. You can pound 2 signs in, you can spend $10,000. Those are all personal decisions that you make. But the taxpayer part is the $1,500 that we have found it costs. And I think it's important to separate that part of it. None of us like to run 2 times in 3 years for the same spot.
I ran 3 times in 2 years.
Did you come in first?
Yeah, primary and then general, not, yeah. Any other comments? This is, you know, I thought the last week, this is one of the most impactful decisions we'll make as far as the representation and just going forward. If we could do this in 5 years, that'd be different, but we have to wait for 10, and it just seems like projections are going to skew the districts even more. As much as this is a decision that I don't know if any of us really want to make, depending on how we vote. But all right, so we have 2 maps. Is there a motion? Do we have to? So legally, Attorney Kreiser, do we vote for? Do we choose? Can we choose? Can one of the commissioners choose one map to vote for, or do we need to vote on each one, or how do we do that?
Madam Chair, members of the board, I think you just need to make a motion on resolutions before you.
All right, we've got 2 maps.
Madam Chair, I'm going to make a motion to adopt Commissioner District's map number 1.
All right, motion made by Commissioner DeLine to adopt Commissioner map number 1. Is there a second on that?
I'll second.
All right, motion made and seconded. Commissioners DeLine and Wetter. Any discussion?
Madam Chair, after meeting with, talking to a few of the people that are on the councils, I'm voting what they had requested. The majority of them did.
Ditto. Ditto.
All right.
And personal.
All right. So we'll do a roll call vote. I'll start with you, Commissioner Leiden.
Aye.
No?
No.
Aye.
No.
All right. Yeah. Motion fails. So pass it.
Madam Chair.
I'm getting all tongue-tied here.
As challenging and as difficult as this is, because it personally affects people that are sitting in the office, but sometimes doing the right thing isn't the easiest thing to do. With that, Madam Chair, I'm going to make a motion establishing map 2 as the commissioner districts for the upcoming election, and then modifying the terms of that seat.
Okay. So it would be a 4-year.
4-year seat, yeah.
All right. All right. Motion made by Commissioner Vetch to adopt map 2. Is there a second? Is there a second? Is there a second?
You can pass it.
Second, pardon?
Said you can pass it.
You can pass the gavel.
I will
second?
I will second that.
There's a motion and a second establishing map 2 as the commissioner districts for the upcoming election, as well as modifying the terms of seat for District 4. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Commissioner Catchmark?
Aye.
Khaled?
Nay.
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Motion passes 3-2. At this time, to pass the gavel back, but we'll take a short recess for individuals for the public hearing to leave. We'll be back in 5 minutes.
Down actually just to advisory committee, advisory board updates, correct? Unless
I forgot about that.
In all the,
Ooh, this is warm where the computer was.
Oh, it is. Wow.
all right. So,
And I
Commissioner
packed it
Ketchmark, would
away.
you like to start?
Sure, Madam Chair. Pretty brief. I just gave a State of the County address in my own words on KRC last week, and that's all I had.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Commissioner Leiden?
Oh, what happened? We met yesterday with the broadband and had some discussions regarding, some options. Talked a little bit about the dig once. There's a meeting that the highway department's going to be having with the construction people regarding County Road 37. I had asked him to talk with those ISP providers to kind of get their input. If they would prefer to see us put in the piping, if they would ever utilize it in the future. I don't want the county to spend money that's never going to be utilized. So that's one of the biggest things that I had a concern with. The Wellness Committee met last week on Tuesday afternoon, and they are excited to be out at the new government center. They want to kind of have, and I don't know if they've asked surveyors or something, but they want to kind of have a map of the pathway around the complex so that people don't get lost. Just so they know where it starts, where it ends, and that sort of stuff. And they talked about, everybody being on the same complex now, that when they do their poker walks or whatever they're going to call them, I guess they're going to change the names in the future here. But that'll give them an opportunity to actually be all together compared to the way it was in the past.
Yeah, good. It is good.
Yep.
Thank you. Yeah, I was at two of my townships last week, Albion and Corinna, and had some good discussions and had some other meetings, three kind of other big meetings, but not part of advisory committee, so yeah.
So a couple pieces. I've had some conversations with our Silver Creek Township is interested in the definition of what the pit reclamation fund, when we ever have that future discussion on that, what that definition will be. Other discussions about the I-94 coalition, and they had a meeting and getting earmarked funds at the federal level, working with Representative Emmer, and as well as working on getting some language in the transportation omnibus bill for the gap funding for I-94 between the Albertville and Monticello, as well as some pieces of funding that they need to finish up the 610-94 connection pieces. Also had the Wright County Economic Development Partnership met last week on Friday, and we are having a lot of discussions over our web domain and some challenges that we come to encountered with the a different entity having a .org.com comparison that was creating issues. So with that, working on trying to decide how to mitigate that, more to come on it. Trying to find a way that isn't going to be enormously costly, but yet still trying to make sure that people can get directed to there efficiently. Outside of that, we're working on hopefully within the next couple of weeks meeting again and being able to roll out some grants here. We had a lot of good applicants, wouldn't you say, Commissioner Dahlheiden?
Yep.
So looking forward to bringing back some recommendations of that to the board here at a later date.
Great. Commissioner Wetter.
Yeah, I only had the one meeting for the Historical Society, and I've been informed that newspapers dating from the beginning here in the county are now being scanned and will be on the website from their, like I said, from their beginning to 1900. And so that's a lot of scanning of pages. Anyways, I mentioned that before, that Hannah King and Sally Stevens are presenting right now at a conference. And Sally mentioned how she really appreciates the maintenance people at the government center. So kudos to them, because they've helped a lot and things. Their big thing right now is they're gonna have a yard sale online, and that's gonna be starting April 28th, and it'll go to May 6th. So
Okay.
you might wanna just look and see if there's something.
See what I need?
See what you might need without having to drive in your car to go and get it. I did see some golf clubs come in, so, you know.
So will they be able to get rid of the microfiche then within the next year then without it?
You know, I don't know what will happen, you know.
It'd be really
because-
nice. It should be
yeah,
searchable, I'm guessing then.
Yeah.
That'll be on the yard sale.
Yeah. Eventually. But anyways, what was interesting, they want to really do things for the employees here. And they were wondering, and put this on your thoughts for, if there could be a path made from the government center down to the historical society, and so that vice versa, they could move back or forth. And so I thought, hey, that's a pretty good idea. So you might want to, like I said, Lee, put that on your, I don't know what kind of a path they would need, but probably, you know.
Yeah.
Dirt path.
How close does that, how close does their path go to the historical society?
Yeah, I'm not sure distance-wise, but
Yeah.
we can look into it.
Yeah, I just,
Can't be that
they
far.
threw that out there, and I thought, hey, you know, that'd be kind of nice.
It's pretty close when I look out the window.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that would be a good idea, at least, you know, during lunch times.
Yeah, they could go
Employees
out
can run
there.
over there real quick.
And they were even talking about, yeah, and we could have, you know, like picnic tables out there, and, you know, we could make a nice little area for the,
Yeah.
eventually for.
It is a nice campus, and they're really part of the campus
Yeah,
from the back.
now- yeah, from the back, so they were just hoping maybe just join that way.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
too.
Not only that, but, you know, when we do the Christmas tree next year, that they could, you know,
Well, I don't.
vote for the best tree.
I don't know if it would be county commissioners, maybe it would be.
Well, I think
something
newly
else.
elected county commissioners, so Mark and
Yeah.
I won't have to do it.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Maybe it should be the IT department and the financial department.
Yeah.
We don't want an
Look at
IT
the-
department doing it.
Did you see them both, their heads go up?
They'd put stuff on there that none of us would understand.
Yeah.
Well, you guys might, but not me.
You guys understand money?
I understand money.
Or maybe even the, you know, the Justice Center, you know, the lawyers, you know, they could probably do something.
That would be,
You know,
yeah.
you know, they would have their legal books swaying down the trees. I don't know.
You know, though, you'd have to clarify if the finance committee did it, that it had to be their own personal money, no county dollar bills.
Oh, that's
You
true.
know, so you
That's
just need to clarify that.
That's true, that's
Purpose
true.
test.
Or admin,
Yep. They don't have anything going on.
you know, they never have nothing going on, you know. But that's
That's it?
it.
All right, Mr. Kelly.
A lot of the items I was going to mention were spoken to already, specifically broadband. A lot of work going on right now on the back end of ERP, working through configurations and verifying what has been programmed at this far. So a lot of meetings with staff on the nuts and bolts and logistics with that. As was discussed, planning that next week we'll be at our new facility. So I'll be working with Frank, make sure that we're good to go on that for next week. So.
Great, yeah, well, I know that it's out there, but we should put in big headlines where we're meeting.
Correct.
So, in case anyone comes. It'll be different.
It'll be different.
We may have to have a practice, practice run. How does it feel to be in here, and what does it sound like? Because sound is amazing. I mean, you go by what seems like, you know, I don't know how many feet that is back there, but it's to the last conference center.
It's big.
It's big, and back in that last conference center, you can just hear like you're sitting next to the guy, you know, and up at the
Oh, really?
dais. Yeah, it's just like, wow,
So-
amazing sound.
Really?
It is, it's pretty good.
Do we give Frank credit for that, or the architects and the engineers?
The guy had Tierney on his little show.
Oh, okay, okay.
The zoom on it's pretty good too. I think
Yeah.
you can zoom into their brain through their retina, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it'll serve us very well. I know some of the challenges we've had here for public attending the meetings were just difficulty with the coherency of
Yep.
the statements. And I think the room is set up excellent for that, as well as just to be able to display documents that come in so much clearer. I think
Yep.
it'll be serving the public much better.
It will be wonderful for, when they have the planning and zoning and different,
Yep.
meetings, and there's a large crowd. I mean, to be back there and people, in here, people kind of going, like this, or they have to look up there, or, or they're out in the hallway, they can't hear, so this will be much better service for our public.
So it is ready for the next meeting.
It's a plan.
Frank guarantees it.
All right, if there is nothing else that
Frank does? Oh, cool.
needs to come before the board, we're adjourned at 10:46. Thanks, everybody.